positive PR. We're talking good examples of customer service, and on the line now I have Gilles Bonvalet, who runs the website verygoodservice.com. Was my French pronunciation very good for you, though?
That was good, Mark. Thank you very much.
That was okay.
Yes, it was. I won't try to pronounce your name because I might get that wrong, though.
Okay. So first of all, customer service. Then, why is it so important? I mean, it may be an obvious question, but why do you think?
Well, I think it's very important because that's what's going to matter for customers ultimately in terms of returning to a shop or a store and buy again. So it's very, very important from the from the company's point of view if they want to retain customers.
And do you think at the moment shops in general and other people who are trying to sell us things effectively, do they appreciate what good service really is?
I think there is a very big mix out there in terms of shops, and stores and their attitude towards customer service. I think it can be expressed in very simple ways, from the customers. It's simply meeting or exceeding, if you want, their expectations. That's what they want. Now, for shops and companies, it's not always easy to deliver because there are economic imperatives. And with the financial crisis, what has happened is that lots of companies have tried to reduce costs, tried to improve their margins, etc. And so an easy target in those situations is to cut down on customer service.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in retail a long time ago, and it was that mantra that the customer is always right and that you need to listen to them. Sometimes, when you hear, I'm not somebody who naturally complains, but when you hear people at customer service desks and the member of staff is often telling the customer, don't be rude to me, I don't have to listen to you, I'm not paid to listen to you, almost quite defensive in their tone, when actually perhaps somebody is just trying to make their complaint and get their voice heard.
Yes, and that's a very good point. I think a lot of that is coming from the way that companies are actually treating their customer service employees. It's very often perceived to be a sort of backroom job, which is not rewarded. The people there are not getting the big bonuses, maybe like the salespeople might get, etc. And the job is not has not been viewed traditionally, not regarded very well by companies. So I think the key to success there is to empower employees, to make sure that if you have employees that are happy, they're going to have a better sense of initiative, they're going to smile on the phone, their speed of response is going to be better, and thereby they'll deliver, better experience to customers.
Tell me about your website. What was the idea behind setting this up?
Yeah, the idea basically came from three different ideas. The first one is that I used to travel a lot to Asia in particular, and each time I was in Asia and came back to Europe, I really was disappointed by the service in Europe, and I thought there was a shortfall, not only in the UK, but in continental Europe as well, in terms of service levels, and therefore the customer experience was not as good. The second item is that I was getting irritated by the sort of new shopping habits which are emerging now, where you have to basically spend all your days trading coupons and special offers and deals, etc. And that's deteriorating the shopping experience, because you never know when you buy something whether you're actually paying over the odds. And the third item is that I found across the board that everybody criticizes companies when they give a bad service. Yes, on the social media,
Sure.
On the internet, you find a lot of bad comments, but very few good comments. And that's where the Sainsbury's story was a really, really good one, a very positive one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the combination of all those factors said, surely there must be a way or an opportunity there to help companies which offer a very good service promote themselves.
Okay, so you can go online and you can see the comments that other people have made and hopefully effectively find a company that's good to deal with in terms of customer service.
Exactly right.
Do you sense that you have to pay a premium in this day and age to get good customer service? For example, I'm thinking, traditionally you might argue that the smaller independent retailers offer that more personalised service. They go the extra mile. The bigger the company gets, the cheaper the price is, perhaps the lower the customer service?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good question. One of the three things that we see as, if you want, the customer service essentials, as we call them, is to basically determine what customers value the most and adjust your offer to that. So if you're basically a shopper, who is very, very price sensitive, I need to deliver you a product which is keenly priced, but make sure that I don't put red carpet on the floor.
Sure.
Yeah, but the important thing is that I need to set your expectations that way, and therefore say that's what you're going to get. You're going to get, a price but no service. And you've got some, say, supermarket chains who've done this by not putting the products on shelves, for example, but just leaving them on crates, so that you know that's what you're going to get the price. So the issue about price is really to align the price and the service to the expectation. So you need to spend a lot of time understanding what customers want, what they value the most. So, for example, again, going back to the red carpet example, you might put absolutely no value on the red carpet when you walk into a supermarket. So there is no point putting one in there. But when you go into a 5-star hotel, you're expecting it, you see. So you need to adjust the service delivery to the expectation.
I kind of think as well, Gilles, that actually, again, going back a long time ago when I worked in a supermarket, if you're on a checkout all day, every day, and I did a bit of work on one of the checkouts in one of the big supermarkets, actually, if you're passing a few pleasantries with the customer who's in front of you, it makes for a better work experience as well, doesn't it? It makes for a more enjoyable day for the member of staff.
Absolutely, but also what you find is that if you as a customer do exactly the same thing, it makes your shopping experience nicer. So I make a point, for example, if I go into a supermarket, to engage with the people at the checkout. And then you get a smile, you get a story, you get this, and as a result, I really believe you get a much better service.
Yeah.
And it's back to the point you mentioned earlier. If the customer approach the company with the right attitude and, being pleasant and not rude, etc., generally the outcome is going to be better for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in a supermarket just a couple of weeks ago, and I was so shocked. I mean, this guy who was on the till, it was like a Saturday. He was probably about 16 years of age. He looked younger than that, actually, but he was probably about 16 years of age. I was with my daughter, and halfway through, as he was scanning the goods through, he said, "Have you got a good weekend lined up?" And I was so shocked that somebody had spoken to me. I mean, you get kind of, most people on a checkout, for example, are very polite, but they don't normally engage in conversation. And I was so taken aback. I was, rapidly thinking, what on earth am I up to this weekend? Because I wanted to give a decent answer. Somebody had actually gone out of their way to indulge in a few pleasantries.
Yes, absolutely. And Mark, you can see that as well. It's very interesting. You can actually see that now online, as well, the same sort of experience. So if you go on Twitter, for example, many companies have got now sort of Twitter-based customer service.
Yeah.
And, we are there very often as verygoodservice.com as well, looking at what's happening and the experience of people, etc. And you find that some big brands, when they ask questions like that, some of them respond very coldly and say, call this number or send me an email here. And other brands clearly have got, if you want, the empowerment of the people manning those accounts to engage with customers. And they would talk to you about the weather, about your weekend, etc., even if they are representing a big name brand, on the internet. So I think that's a culture thing, and companies define that in their policies.
Fantastic. So final question. What part of France are you from?
I was born in Dunkirk,
Oh, okay.
Very famous place for the Anglo-French relationship.
Yes.
And then was brought up in Paris, but moved to London, something like 20 plus years ago. So I've actually lived now longer in the UK than in France.
Why did you move to London?
Well, initially it was to do my national service. And so you had this scheme in France where you could do your national service in an overseas country, and that was sort of to help, if you want, the French economy develop overseas. But I think the hidden objective was probably to improve the Anglo-French relationships at the time.
Fair enough. And my last question, and I'm going to give you my honest answer on this. Who's better at customer service? Is it the French or the English? And I'll help you out with this one, because actually, and I'll upset a few people, I lived in France for a year, and I thought actually the French in the shops were very friendly and very polite and wanted to serve you on the whole.
Yes, I think the French are very, I think it will depend on the industries, you see. The French are very strong on the sort of top-end hospitality industry. But there are other places, like if you go to a cafe cafe, a typical cafe or brasserie in Paris, they probably throw the food at you and not talk to you. So I think there's no overall answer to this. I think it's such a personal thing. That's what will determine it at the end of the day.
All right. Your website is Very Good Service. VeryGoodService.com. Excellent. Gilles, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Mark. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, nice to speak to you this afternoon. Thank you for that. Good to hear from you. And I'd like to hear from you on the issue of customer service. Have you had... it's very easy to probably call in and say, do you know what? I once had terrible service. But is there maybe a shop that you go back to time after time because actually the service is good and perhaps you are prepared to pay a bit of a premium to get that good customer service?